All right, and welcome to the debut episode, the premiere episode of the Righteously Turned Up podcast. David Ware and myself, David Foster, and we're here to bring you episode number 1. So how you doing, man? Welcome to the show, man.
Man, I thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Welcome to our new show.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
This is something in the making, man.
Yeah.
That we kind of formulated. You came up with the title, man. So definitely shout out to that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
explain the title a little bit, man, and how we came about. We kind of settled on that because we was throwing around some names.
Yeah.
And, so
Yeah.
break down that, if you will.
I just kind of looked at it in a way where, me and you are two peas in a pod, pretty
Mhm,
much.
mhm.
We've grew up through these streets, through
mhm,
Vegas, from the time we was, youngsters, and then we lost
Yeah.
contact for a while, and
Yeah.
then we come back later time, and
Yeah.
our lives are in totally different places at the moment,
Mhm.
and we were able to reconnect and
Yeah.
and really get a better understanding of who we
Yeah.
were as people
Yeah.
at
As
this time in
people.
our life,
Yeah.
and for me it was just like a journey that I
Mhm.
realized that we've
Mhm.
been on, and that we have a life that is conducive to a lot of decisions that was made that didn't really work so well
Most
for us, and
definitely. Most
some that
definitely.
did, but
Yeah.
at the same time, we have lived life long enough to understand that, there's a difference between making wrong decisions and right decisions. And so I feel like this is a perfect time for us in our life to be able to
Yeah.
express these type of things as we move through this journey called life
Yeah.
further down, that
mhm.
we're now in our mid-50s.
Yeah.
And stuff
Yeah.
like, in the beginning of 50s, and, and now we're trying to, put things in perspective moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. Who would have thought that we reconnect some when we was shorties, man, like what was we, 10, 11?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, we talking
10,
40
9,
years,
10,
man.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it ain't too many brothers that I can call a friend that I've known for 40 years, bro.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And we was, just to take you back, I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, but I was coming out here late 80s, staying with my mother and them. My mother and father had divorced, and we was coming out here, and we stayed on Salt Lake in
Yeah.
North Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Anybody know where that is? My grandmother stayed on one street, and then we stayed on, I think it was the street over, and I can't remember the next street over. But somehow I ran into Dave on them streets in North Las Vegas, man, and we was running, we was just hanging.
Oh, yeah.
We was doing our thing, going to Wimpy's.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
no
shout
doubt.
out to Wimpy's, man.
Yeah,
You know?
no bull. Absolutely.
And so we just, became good friends, man. We was doing all kind of little stuff, man, in them streets, man. A lot
man.
of good childhood memories, bro.
Oh, man, big time.
You know what I mean?
I remember how we used to ride bikes
Yeah,
all over the
yeah,
city.
all over the city.
I mean,
and never get tired.
never.
You know what I mean?
Sun up to
Legs shot,
sun
yeah,
down.
never get tired, man. But that was definitely a
Yeah.
integral part of my childhood, man, and my life, man. So I always cherished you as your friend, man, and I
Absolutely.
appreciate our friendship, bro.
Likewise.
And then I think as I got older, my mother moved me back to be with my father. You know what I mean? 'Cause she felt like at that age, my brother, I got two older brothers, 6 and 7 years older with me. They had both went to Elko. Anybody know about Elko? You get in trouble, you get sent up there.
Yeah.
That's like a teenage camp or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my mother was like, nah, I'm not gonna have a third one go that route. You know what I mean? And then you talk about North Las Vegas. My one brother was in the GQs. My other brother really wasn't banging like that, but it was just too much.
Yeah.
So she was like, nah, I'm gonna ship you this way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I
Yeah.
left and went out there and graduated, and then, we lost contact, you know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't know what happened. I don't know, it was just weird, man.
To be honest, when
We
you
was
kids,
young. Yeah, we
when
was
you
young.
children, and your parents is making your decisions
They're making
for
decisions,
you,
yeah.
and she's doing, and they're doing what they believe is the best.
And
thing
I
for
think it was
you,
the best way, because because I don't know, to tell the truth. I can say now, and I don't think I would have went that route. But if you got older brothers that's in the stuff, because we was already, Lil Charles, my cousin, he passed away.
Yeah.
I told you about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we was already consider ourselves the baby GQs.
Right.
But we was like, we wanted to claim it, but we didn't really want the smoke that came with it.
Right.
But
yeah.
you know, the ops ain't gonna see it that way.
Oh no,
y'all baby
without a doubt.
GQ,
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean? So
Yeah.
I thank God for my mother for having the foresight and the wisdom to be like, you know what, at this age in his life, he needs to be around his father.
Absolutely.
So I know I fast forward, I left. I came back out here in '91. I still hadn't ran into Dave. I think at that time, if you want to speak on where you was at, I think you was in the streets.
You said in like the 90s?
It was like 91 when I came back.
Yeah,
I was 19 when I came back. I probably was 13 when I left.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So from that time period, from the early 90s, I was in the streets. I actually had left home pretty early. I was out in the streets probably at about 16 years old.
Okay.
Ran the streets of Vegas, west side of Las Vegas. You know, got into the street life, got into the gang, you know, selling drugs. You know, getting involved in, you know, some gang activity. I tried to steer away from it as much as I could because I was kind of the type of person at that time felt like gang banging and selling drugs just won't go coexist and have success. So I had to make a choice, and I choose, you know, to try to make money over, you know, going through the process.
So you chose that street life.
So
and that was the height of it, bro. That was like that's when that thing was really out there on the streets.
We was really out there, man. It was insane. You know, like I tell my son all the time. I say, you see how y'all have this traffic on social media the way you do? We had traffic like that in real life. Our social media was the streets, you know.
It wasn't that was the real,
You know, so from that time, you know, growing through all that, you know, I had to, you know, really, I was out there in a different frame of mind. I was out there trying to survive and trying to make it, and you know, thought at some point I was going to have some grand success with it all. You know, that's the delusion of it, you know, when, you know what I mean? When you're out there, you're trying to make some things happen, and you do, you know, this thing what we call hustle.
And you really thinking that's the ticket. Like this is going to be it. I'm going to retire. Like I noticed it ain't no 401k plan or no pension plan for when you're in the streets, man.
Hey, listen, you barely got a burial plan. You barely got any, you barely got a savings. You barely got anything because everything is just upfront money. You know, you're sitting out here, you're trying to be impressive to everybody, and you're spending money on God knows what.
Just blowing money.
You know what I'm saying? With no real game plan of any sort after
that.
Not
even, I noticed a lot of cats just from witnessing, they don't even have an exit strategy.
No,
they let something take them out the game instead of planning. Okay, I'm gonna go legit. I'm gonna get me a business. You know what I mean? They don't even have no exit strategy.
No, none whatsoever. You know, and a part of me was calling myself trying to be that way. Just unfortunate that wasn't God's plan for me. You know, so it went a different route for me, and it ended up, you know, causing me to go through a horrific experience as far as facing time and things of that nature.
Did you ever face any time from that?
I did. I ended up facing 25 to life.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And I mean, I fought tooth and nail for 2.5 years of this case. Yeah.
And so what did it end up being?
I ended up getting 3 years probation by the grace of God.
Man.
It was a matter of just staying out of trouble, keeping my nose clean. You know, I joined the organization, the Nation of Islam.
The Nation of Islam.
They steered my mind a different direction.
Okay, we'll touch on that too.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I feel like in life you get so many warning shots. Do you feel that was your warning shot?
It was definitely a warning shot. You know, the funny thing about it is a lot of guys who may be out here in this game, you know, we live a life like we don't believe in God, but honestly, we really do, because when trouble hit us, we like, oh my God.
That's the first thing you quote, right?
Exactly. You know, and a lot of times I would pray to get out of the game, you know, because it was really a stress. You know, I remember the
looking
day,
over your shoulder, and worrying about, like, because it ain't
everything.
Ain't nobody cool in the game. It's cutthroat, man.
Everything is everything.
It's cutthroat,
and you learn a lot about life very fast. You learn a lot about people very fast. And you know, one of the things that you realize and understand is everybody who say your friend is not your friend. And everybody who you think is your enemy is not your enemy as well.
That's true. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, so it's a different way of operating sometimes when you're out there in that world. You know, one of the main things I think that helped me was the fact that I asked God to help me out of this business, and
like provide me a way out of this.
get me out of it, and but I want to get out on my own terms.
Okay,
you
didn't want him to just snatch you out.
Let me get out with a business, and I got a business plan now. Let me put this together, that together, and it was like. And now I don't think so. We're gonna get you. You're gonna get out this way, and we're gonna make sure you never return.
Right. That's the key.
That's how I looked at me facing the time that I was facing, because really my life was over with.
Yeah, staring down that barrel of a gun, though, man. Like, and you probably, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you was facing 25 to life.
Yes, sir.
You probably wasn't but 25 in your 20s, right?
I think, right before my 21st birthday, I think.
How you gonna give somebody more time than they've been alive?
Than I've been in the world. Absolutely.
If that don't wake you up, bro, I don't know what will, man.
Oh man, it was horrific. You know what I mean? And like I said, it wasn't for me turning my mind into a different way of operating and thinking. I could have easily got sucked right into it.
Yeah,
because a lot of times this is the trap that they want you to fall back into, because
a majority of brothers fall into that trap. Yeah,
absolutely.
And you spoke on the Nation of Islam kind of turning the tides on your mentality. Now, speak on that? Is that something you found out when you got locked up? Or I know a lot of times brothers get locked up and then we find God. You know what I'm saying? So speak on that a little bit.
The funny thing was I had started having experiences with them before I had actually got caught up with facing the time that I was facing. I used to see them all the time.
Just around
around, and I would support. I would buy papers and stuff like that, but never read them. Just go in the back of my car and keep it pushing like most people do.
Drop your little $5 and keep it moving.
Right, exactly. And it just, once the trouble started hitting me, it started opening my mind up to other avenues of how I should go about trying to look forward to living my life.
Okay.
And then one day I just started reading one. And the first article that I read was speaking about the prison industrial complex.
Oh man, it's a system, man.
And it blew my mind. I said, oh wow, this is what they said.
It's like a pipeline.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like a pipeline. Yeah.
So that once that perked my curiosity, and then I decided. I promised one of the brothers one day that I would just come and sit in the meeting and just listen
to the mosque and all that.
Yeah. And he got me to come. I went and I sat, and once I got there, I was just astonished.
Really?
To get all this information that I never knew anything about.
It's just out there. It's out there.
It's free.
It's out
and
there.
It's free. So it was just an eye opener. And it just caused me to just start thinking in a whole different way. I wanted more now. I wanted to do better. Because prior to that, I didn't see myself living past 25.
Really?
Y'all know,
That's
man.
crazy. Your life is just getting started.
Just getting started, man.
It's just getting started. But you already had, even before the Nation, you already had a foundational belief in God. So you was already spiritually grounded like that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. My grandmother, God rest her soul, we was, I lived in Mississippi for some time, Southern people was religious.
Where was you originally born at?
I was originally born in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, I never knew that.
Yeah.
How did you get to Vegas, man?
I got to Vegas because of my mom. My mom was she worked as a dealer, a blackjack dealer. So she came to Vegas.
Shout out to moms, man.
Absolutely,
man.
R.I.P., yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. Her birthday coming up next week, matter of fact. So
wow.
But she, came here and was trying to make a life for herself, and of course, got kids, what I mean? So
you and your sister, right?
Yeah.
How you, Deidre?
Yeah.
Deidre. Yeah, how's she doing now,
She's doing pretty good, man.
That's good, man.
Yeah, she's doing really good now. Her, she married, kids, and
doing her thing.
Now, kids are doing really well. So man, we came a long way, and thank God for that.
Long way from the Northtown days.
Oh my God, tell me about it.
Scraping and scrapping them days, man. Scraping and scrapping, man.
Fighting, trying to find coins so we go to the arcade.
Man, the arcade, the Zodies of Zoe. Hey, shout out anybody on here that knows Zodies from the 80s, man. Croker Sacks, Zodies, Wimpies,
Coasters,
all the Northtown stuff, man. All the Northtown stuff.
Oh yeah.
Crazy, man. And so the Nation, I think the Nation, what they provide is that discipline, that structure, kind of like what you was looking for. And so did you keep going to the meetings? Did you keep going?
I did. I actually went and I got so inspired.
Did you see yourself becoming a Muslim?
I did.
Or just, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, okay.
I was full-fledged, suited and booted.
Is this the one right there off, what is it, D Street right there? Right
yeah.
there? Yeah, okay, yeah.
I came in right before the Million Man March in '95.
Okay.
I was so inspired. I did everything very fast. I became a member within 3 months.
Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a pretty lengthy process to become a registered member. So, you know, you got to study. You have to be able to write letters. You got to be able to do all these different things for the
pretty
process.
Thorough, man. Huh?
It's very thorough.
Yeah,
they have a military structure to it. Where you
I always like that structure and discipline.
Yeah. So it turned me around completely, man. It gave me like a whole different outlook. You know, it gave me the ability to be able to go into now the workforce or the different types of activities that I want to enter into with a more strict way of operating and dealing with things, and then understanding how to be able to maintain myself as an individual
at the same time. How to carry myself. How to
right.
Because you pretty much got a new operating system, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
I know you spoke now. Dave's he owns his own plumbing business by trade. So when did the trade part come into it? Like, so, if you speak on that. Like, when did that come into it?
So what happened was, like we spoke about when we talked about the men's health thing, kind of threw a little bit of that in there at that time. But you know, spending time doing the plumbing trade was another example of how, you know, God can open you up to opportunities if you just allow them to you know what I mean?
You got to be receptive to it.
Very receptive. I looked at the plumbing trade not as a job, but I looked at it as an opportunity. And so when I got myself into the business of doing plumbing or the work of doing plumbing, I was always still had that hustles mentality. I want to be able to get this thing to another level. You know, so I was very diligent in learning, even though it wasn't very many people that want to teach it. So I would study, and I would go
Took
in.
it upon yourself.
Absolutely.
And it's like you take the hustle mentality and apply it to something else.
Yes, sir.
Apply it to another industry.
Absolutely. And with that, you know, 10 years I spent doing different levels of plumbing, you know, and each time that I was in these jobs, I was always becoming a supervisor. So eventually, very fast. So eventually I was, you know, into the administration part of it, where I was seeing a lot of paperwork and bids and breakdowns and things
seeing what them
nature.
checks was really going for.
Without a doubt. And I said, man, you know, how can I cut myself in on this, you know?
the bigger part of the pie, man.
Exactly, you know, and I understood all the ins and outs, you know. So from that point, I took what I've learned from the nation was a part of understanding the process of learning how to be a better individual. You also learn how to deal and have a good rapport with people. So I took that and made friends. So the type of friends that I made were people who own real estate companies, people who own property management companies,
people
developers,
that could,
you know, and then other people that had trades too that were doing, you know, different type of jobs. So I just started electricians, the whole nine, and I just started maneuvering through them and started, you know, implementing to them, hey, you need a plumber, I'm your guy, you know. So it started out with doing it on the side, you know, but then the side work became so overwhelming, I had to quit my job.
Because it was so much.
It was so much. I couldn't keep up with it, you know
crazy.
what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good problem, though.
Oh, it's a great problem.
You know, it's like the saying go, your network determines your net worth.
Absolutely.
So you building these connections and you got stuff flowing to you just based off the connections.
Exactly. You know, and like I said, it was a beautiful transition. You know, I mean, it's risky. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
You know, when you build your life up to operate off a certain type of income you have coming in, that transition is a very challenging transition.
I know it ain't easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
You feel like you know, and I liken it to. I think I got this from Ty Lopez, and he said, like being in the jungle, you're free. Right. And would you rather have the freedom to be able to catch what you want to eat every day? Or would you want to be in a cage and have somebody feed you 3 times a day?
Absolutely.
And it's like once you get out of that cage, it's hard to go back into it.
Very hard.
You know what I mean? If you had a taste of it.
You'll almost go broke.
Yeah,
holding on to the
you
possibility of what it is that you know is there for you. And just go through that process, you know, of just, you know, being able to find the patience and you know, and so yeah, man, the drive was just I was just driven by so much, you know. I think another one of the key things that I happened to me was I was on the job site one day. I mean, on the yard, getting ready to load up to go out for the job for the day, and the owner of the company was just happened to come through there because he was parked his race car on the
doing it like that,
on the site,
flexing like that,
right, you know. And he got his son with him, and you know, he stops by and says, "Hey, man, I just want to thank you for working here and yada yada yada, but you know, I want to be able to, you know, put your son through college." And I'm like, "What you mean put my son through college? Like you my daddy or something?" Like, what you mean? So I didn't, you know, I just took it. I took it as a slight, you know, and I said, well, this guy feels like, you know,
like it's his job to do that. I said, like, you know, and I was, you know, as part of this is I was taught in the nation that, you know, a person who feeds you or gives you a check, they dictate the parameter in which you grow. So I just did not want to be stuck in that type of box, you know what I mean? So it was just like, okay, here, now, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? And I just took it and I ran with it. Yeah. Powerful decision, man. And you never look back since then,
never. And you know, now for people out here, listen, whenever you have a dream or you have something that you want to do, you know, for the most part, start off with just keeping it to yourself because everybody not going to see things the same way you see them.
That's true.
We all operate according to our own understanding about things, and it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, everybody is not entitled to, you know, understanding what your journey is.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. And not to knock those who don't feel the same way about it, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's something that is important to you and you're driven by it, then listen, you only got this one life. And if, you know, your choices are going to be choices that you make that's going to put you in a position to do what it is that you want to do, then you have to go after it because at the end of the day, you don't want to live with a life of regret.
I
don't want to live 20, 30 years from now saying, "Oh, I should have did that. I should have did that podcast with my buddy." I mean, we don't know where everybody, you know what I mean?
I'm so big on that, man. I'm so big on that, man.
So
it says two things in life: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think regret, looking back, is like worse because I think you'll get through the discipline of doing something, but the regret and it could be lost time and lost opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, and we old enough now to even recognize it within our own lives. You know, it's plenty of times that we probably done said to ourselves, man, we should have did this or we should have did that. And like I said, that is what is so great about being at a certain age now. And still being able to feel yourself having the life ability to be able to move in a direction that you want to move in and stay and maintain control of it because you have so much behind you now that you have to work with.
You have to, right? That's true.
You know what I mean? So that's for me. That to me is the most important thing, man. Is just waking up every day, making the right decision.
The right decision.
You know, that's my whole premise for understanding what being righteously turned up is all about. Because you know, we have practiced doing things wrong long enough. We all have. No one's perfect. No one's perfect.
Too many times. Probably more than anything.
Doing it wrong. And I just realized, you know, battling through so much I've battled through in the last couple of years that sometimes God will allow things to happen to you so he can reach you, so he can turn you into the things that you need to be.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
It's like, to me, I think, sometimes God be like, okay, do I got your attention now?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay, do I got your attention now? Okay,
and, you know, and how many times do we ignore that? You know what I'm saying?
A lot of times, man. Yeah, definitely, man. So I think just like you say, doing things, you know, being righteous with it. You know what I mean? I think that's the best way to go about it. What would you say are some of your decade life lessons? Say, like, I say 20s, 30s. Like, what were some of your biggest lessons, man?
You know, if you take it step by step, 20, 30, 40.
And now we in the 50s,
the 50s.
man. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll just say that, for me, I just think I've learned a lot about life in every increment of time that I was in. So in my 20s, I was dealing with trying to identify who I was, trying to find myself, dealing with my childhood traumas, dealing with my backlashes of certain decisions that I made and things of that nature. In my 30s, okay, I think I got it figured out, but I still got these thresholds I still need to encounter and figure out, because now I'm on the move, you know what I mean? So now I'm figuring out life through that perspective and still trying to deal with traumas.
Still dealing with
dealing with stuff that, we have not resolved yet because you focus so much on certain things. So you let other things kind of go to the wayside.
They do, but they still like simmering in the back.
They're still there.
They still
absolutely,
back.
And so, you get about to your 40s. Now, you done had children by then. You had children. I had my children early. All my children came early. So, you're going through, a whole process of going through what you're doing, growing and developing, and then you're striving to grow and develop and help develop people
at the same time.
Your kid, at the same time.
You want them to be right.
So then, with that, you learn a lot about yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
A lot of times, and I think we kind of hit on this a little bit before, sometimes we find out how hypocritical we are.
Yeah, that's true.
Trying to teach our
own
children.
self. Yeah. We say one thing and do something else.
We kind of like, we kind of like push the narrative for them a certain way, and then we ourselves don't hold ourselves up to the same standard.
Shame on us.
You know what I'm saying? So
real talk.
It was just stuff like that I had to continue to learn and understand because, I wanted the relationship with my children to develop and grow and become better because, I understand our parents did what they had to do for us as they were growing and what they knew and what they understood. And for the most part, I think that what they have done gave us a good benefit. I can't take nothing away from that.
And they took it so far based on the era they was in and the information they had.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? They took it as far as they could.
Absolutely. And so, now that I'm in my 50s, I just feel like I have a cocktail of information.
Yeah, so much,
now
man.
I can just formulate and mold. And now I can put it into the oven and let it bake and let it become what it needs to become.
So much gathered over those years. You know what I mean? So much. And I think now, even like with me, like you say, I figured I kind of summed it up. It's almost like in your 20s you messing up, in your 30s you trying to straighten it up.
Yeah.
In your 40s you kind of, you kind of in between, and by the time you get to 50, you got to have this thing figured out.
Yes.
But I remember my grandmother. Shout out to my grandma. She's 96 years old. She said, some men don't never grow up. They be 80 years old and still ain't figured it out.
That's
and
right.
I'm like, Grandma, you kind of got a point.
Got a point.
You know what I mean? You got to want to kind of get better with it, man. But I look at now, man, like I said, I'm 52. I'm like the second year in my 50s, man. Like it's no joke, man.
Oh, no.
Now it just feels like the clock is ticking faster than ever. You know what I mean? And they say, just from statistics and studies that, the average man, you got 75, 78 years, you know what I mean, of your life. I mean, knock on wood, you could live longer. So now I feel like, man, I got to make the best decisions going forward, the right decisions. You know what I mean?
Right.
And those got to be compounded. I got, kids, grandkids to look at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's more intense now. You know what
very
I mean?
much so.
Yeah,
very much
intense,
so.
Man.
I mean, this thing is I'm starting to, really fall in love with life for the first time. To be honest with you,
I have a different appreciation and gratitude.
Yes,
for
I have a very deep gratitude for and appreciation for it, man. And I know a lot of it's probably due to my medical situation, which that if that don't open your eyes, I don't know what will.
That'll scare you, man. That'll scare you, yeah. And shout out to your, how you doing now, because I know you've overcome a lot of medical and health issues.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
And then I know your therapy played a big part.
Major
so you want to
part.
speak a little bit on how the therapy sessions and just going out and getting a therapist, how it changed your life, man?
Yeah. So as I was approaching this whole situation with my health, I realized that I started suffering from things that I never knew existed in me. I started suffering from anxiety really bad. And I used to think anxiety was a fluke. Like,
Really?
ain't nothing wrong with you. What are you doing that for? You know what I mean? And it's because when you never experience something, you don't really relate to it and understand it, you know.
I know how to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then it was just a lot of, you know, questions that I had unanswered about myself. And I wanted to figure out, you know, what made me move the way I move and operate the way I've operated, and what caused me to operate in a way where it was, you know, destructive in certain situations, and in some situations it was like, you know, and so I had a lot of questions about me that I need to figure out.
Like,
And
why
so,
am I wired like this?
yes,
You know what I mean?
yes. And so I took the initiative to just do something that I always talked down on. I always used to say, oh, I need no therapy. I got a friend I can talk to, or I can do this, I can do that. But man, listen, we underestimate the power of someone who has the medical professionalism,
trained in it,
training to be able to create a mindset for you that you can benefit from in a way where, how can I even speak? You feel free.
Yeah, you feel free.
That's the best way I can say it.
And how long have you been? Are you still actively going?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how long has it been? How long?
I've been in therapy for over a year now.
Really?
Over a year, and it happened so fast I didn't even realize it. One day we did a year evaluation. I'm like, what are we doing? A year?
That fast?
Yeah. But you know, she was just like, listen, you know, you're doing very well. She said, you took this thing, you went after it very hard. You was aggressive. You carried out all the, you know, tools that was necessary for you to transition yourself into what you need to be. And I noticed that all the elements that were surrounding me got significantly better.
So it was a game changer.
It was a beyond game changer, man. But the relationship with my kids became phenomenal. I got remarried, and
congratulations on that, man.
Yeah,
definitely that. I know that it just came up.
Thank you. And you know, I now am in a position to be the best husband I could be. I could be the best father that I've ever been.
Absolutely.
I could be the best man. You know, for my community that I could be. You know, I have so much more to give as a result of me retooling and then stripping away so much. You know, and I'm super appreciative about it. And good, I will definitely always make sure that I let it be known that therapy is probably one of the best things that we can do for ourselves.
You think it's a stigma among men in general, but especially like black men? You think it's a stigma? You think it's looked at it as a weak card, saying like, I need to talk to somebody. You know what I mean? And as men, we try to have this armor to where like we don't want nobody to see a chink in our armor. We don't want that, you know what I mean? But it's like what Jay-Z said on his song, you can't heal what you don't reveal. Right. And I was speaking to some brothers sometime and I said, you know, women get it. Cause they'll go to the beauty shop, right? And they in there 3-4 hours. It don't take that long to get their hair done.
No,
they in there chopping it up.
Oh yeah,
you know
talking about real life stuff.
Yeah, they talking about real life stuff. You know what I mean? One sister might have victory in an area that another sister's struggling in, and so what they doing, they exchanging information. You know what I mean? But brothers, we'll keep stuff on the surface. Oh man, you see the game, how it's sports, all this, but we won't go deep. Like, bro, like you dying on the inside, bro. You know what I mean? Like, don't hold that in. It's some things you supposed to take to the grave, but that ain't one of them.
That's not one of them.
You know what I mean? So do you think that's a stigma as far as men, like, in getting in touch with the emotional side of ourselves, man?
I do. I think that, you know, I'm going to speak primarily for myself. I used to be a very angry person. You may not be able to tell just approaching me just at
but it was probably deep seated.
But yeah, like I was always on the edge. Like I was always ready to just
like hairpin trigger.
Like anything snap, I bow. You know,
literally the angry black man.
Yes, exactly. You know, and I what you're saying is absolutely correct in the sense that we have a tendency to want to hold on to that because we look at it like we're protecting ourselves. You know, we looking at it like, hey man, I ain't letting nobody
in. You know what I mean?
I
ain't letting nobody in.
And so being in having to deal with someone that you have to be vulnerable to,
right?
That's a threat.
That's a
to
threat.
that. You know what
your
I'm saying?
vulnerability.
Yeah.
Your vulnerability. Yeah,
you know, I'll be honest with you, and I say this in front of everybody. I don't care. Man, when I first started therapy, I cried like a baby.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
But it was probably what you needed, bro.
Oh, it was
you know
beyond what I needed.
It was probably what you needed.
It was coming to terms and to the understanding that even though I felt like I was okay, I wasn't okay.
Wasn't, yeah.
And at that moment, I was okay with not being okay.
Okay, yeah.
Because
that's
wanted
the cold part.
Yeah.
Okay with not being okay.
Yeah. And because I wanted to turn it around so bad, I just let it all go. You know, I opened myself up completely to
And that was probably like a lifelong accumulation of issues.
Oh, yeah.
Everything just built. It was probably,
no doubt. Ain't no doubt about it. And it was one of the biggest relievers that I've ever had.
Really?
And so, you know, once the process of the healing took place, oh, man, the strength that you gain from that is unreal. You know, and I'm not talking about like, you know,
but it's internal. It's internal fortitude. Yeah, I know the strength. Like, and then like that wound, like you said, healing. That wound is open for so long in your life.
Oh, no,
you know what I mean? It's like, when is that ever going to heal?
Right.
I can't move on until I heal from where I came from.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly
Remember T.D. Jakes said something. He said that it's funny how like something happened to you when you 10, and here you are 40 years old and you still dealing with that.
Yeah. I read that in a book called Emotional Intelligence.
Yeah, emotional. It's huge.
It talks about that child that's still in you that you're dealing with that is acting out.
It's acting out.
Because it has not learned how to grow yet.
Yes. It's still the child in you.
You're right, exactly. And you know, and that is one of the major things I believe that you know holds us back from the growth that we need to have in order to be able to be, you know, fulfilled in this life. You know, and like I said, for me, it was probably the most important thing single-handedly that I possibly could have done. It helped me it helped me deal not only with my mental health, it also helped me with my physical health as well, because I was dying.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just keep it 100. You know what I'm saying?
And I know when we spoke on our episode, you was kind of in the midst of something like I was down. I think when I talked to you that time, I was down 100 pounds. God,
I was down 100 pounds and I couldn't eat. I was just drinking Ensure. I'm forcing that. Because I'm just knowing
that's straight liquid.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to make sure I got some nutrients in my system. And at the time, a few of the people that I knew that were kind of close, the guy I was doing business with passed away.
Really?
Yeah, a good friend of mine's, you know, he passed away.
You looking up like, man, okay, like what's going on, bro?
And we all was dealing with the same type of symptoms. You know what I mean? And so I was just like, man, look,
like I gotta change this thing.
Hey, I'm asking God just one more time, man, just one more.
Yeah, one more. Yeah,
you know, give me one more.
One more. Yeah, like my pastor say, reset button. Let me get one more. Let me hit that reset button one more time, man.
You know,
man, it's scary, man. It's
it
scary.
is. It is, and you know, and like I say, you know, we have the ability to be able to righteously turn up to what it is that we need to, you know, put in play for us to overcome these situations.
Yes,
you know
I totally agree. I totally agree.
You know, so you know, this is why I have, you know, opened myself up to being able to want to talk about these things now, because I feel like it's very important. I don't care if you know, if it's one person watching.
Yeah.
Hey, okay,
and it's gonna help somebody. Bro. You know what I mean? It's gonna help as people be like, well, I never knew people talked about that. I never knew that information was available. I never thought about that. You know what I mean? Somebody. You know, the world is so big and there's so many people. Somebody's going through it, or somebody's went through it.
Doubt.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Or they might hear this and have some information before they go through it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They know how to deal with it.
Yeah. So preparation sometimes is one of the major things that really help you sometimes. You know?
That's huge, man.
Yeah, man.
Much love to that, man.
Absolutely, man.
This show, man, Righteously Turned Up, man. We trying to speak on, you know, we talk about life. We talk about health. We talk about family,
everything,
manhood, hardships, hustle. You know what I mean? So pretty much a little everything, man. You know, a little everything. You know, health. Like I said, it all started from our health conversation.
Yeah,
how we was talking about. I remember I spoke about how that 40 to 50 is like the deadliest decade for me.
Yes,
you know what I mean. So I've started, we talked about I've taken my health more serious.
Right,
You know what I mean? Because
right.
I want to be around, man.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And the thing, and I always say this, is that we only know how much time has passed.
Right.
We don't know how much is left.
No.
We can't see that clock.
No.
And you know what I mean? I want to be here as long as I possibly can.
Man, look.
We
got babies that look up to us.
Right,
we got
man.
Our children that still need us, even though they're adults.
Yeah.
They still need our guidance.
They still a child. You know what I mean? They still our child, man. How's little Dave doing, man?
Man, he's doing fine, man.
He's doing his thing. He's like, you kind of like passing the torch to him almost.
I am. I put him in a position now to get a little bit more acclimated to the plumbing field.
Okay.
He is now working for a plumbing supply company, so he delivered parts and stuff like that.
But he's learning the game. He's
learning.
He's in the industry.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, with that being said, I'm trying to set it up where he will eventually take this over, and then we'll rebrand it, and then put it and restructure it where he can be able to be at the helm.
And to me, that's real legacy, man. Because anything that you can pass, anything that will outlive you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like that trade and passing that on to your son, and like he gonna pass it on to his son.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
And my dad, man, rest in peace, R.I.P. Always, I was just hard at. Always told me get a trade. My dad was a trade by electrician. Retired when he was 50 years old. I'm 52 and I'm still on the grind.
Right.
He worked for Philip Morris, retired, but he always said, get a trade because they can't take it from you. It's in here and it's in here, right?
Yeah.
And so I never thought about it. This was when I was young. I never thought about it from an entrepreneurial standpoint of having an electrical company.
Yeah.
I just thought about, I really don't want to do that. I was kind of into music and DJing and doing all this, but he was so right.
A lot of it is we look at this is our perception and how we look at it. We look at it as just work.
We look at it as work, and I never thought about you can own the company.
You can own the company.
You know what I mean? I mean, like your situation.
Yeah.
You know
every trade has the potential to being able to have ownership. Now, I'm not saying any business can do that if you determine enough to do it. But I think the trade is one of the quickest ways that you can do it because it's a self driven and a self hands-on type of deal, so transitioning into a business is not as horrific as, say, I want to go start a hospital somewhere where I got to do all these administration.
That's true.
And
that's
saying
it's an easier transition.
Right.
It's an easier transition.
And I'm not saying not to try to do that because we need hospitals, we need banks. I'm on my Dr. Umar thing now.
Right.
These institutions, don't get me wrong.
That's true. Absolutely.
But it's, at the same time, I feel like the trade is one of those type of entities that I feel like a lot of us is leaving money on the table.
Yes. And I think so too.
We really don't have to because it's, I know it's hard because in this world we live in, if it ain't sexy, it ain't.
If it don't look, if it ain't like, it's more to being a rapper and a basketball player.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You know what I'm saying?
But I realized just for me having work done on my house, the cats who have a trade, they eating.
Very well.
They turning plates away. They eating, bro. You know what I mean? And it costs what it costs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That stuff ain't cheap, man.
No, it's not.
So
it's not.
I think we are leaving it on the table.
Yeah. I've heard a few people talk about it on different platforms. What's the guy's name?
About the trades in general.
God, I hate that I can't think of his name right now. But he did a comparison to the trade as far as the amount of money that was made yearly compared to a doctor. And when he said it, I was like, Dr. Boyce Watkins.
Okay, Dr. Boyce. Yeah.
And so when he said that, I never really gave it no thought because I don't really care about it.
You don't really look at it like
that. But when he said that his plumber made as much as his doctor did in a year's time, I was like, damn, really? That's wild,
And probably the learning is not as much. And like you can learn that trade and probably don't have the school loan debt that it takes to be a doctor.
Not at all.
And make the same kind. I never thought about it like that too.
It's no debt.
Yeah, no debt. You learn that trade and you gone.
It's gone. You everything you do from that point on is pure profit. You know what I mean? You owe nothing to anything.
That's
when
crazy.
You pay for
I never
license,
thought about it like that. A doctor.
When you pay for your license and you pay for your, your license, your bonds, and all that stuff. That's money gone, done.
Gone.
So,
and then like you said, it ain't sexy. Do you think they look at it like, especially in our community, blue collar and white collar? You think blue collars look down upon?
I don't think it's looked down upon. I think it's
just
misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
I think it's misunderstood.
Okay.
I think that because, you know, we get flooded with the fame aspect of things.
Yeah, if it ain't
And
sexy.
and I have a thing I always say, you know, I'd rather be relevant than famous.
That's true. That's true.
You know,
that's true. Because fame is fleeting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fame is
fleeting,
and fame to me kind of messes you up in the head.
It does. It does. And it's an intoxicating drug.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think that you know, when you have the ability to be able to do things like in a trade, your relevancy is very high. And,
That's true.
And I just take the pandemic for example. So many people had to sit down.
They had
you know,
to.
Whatever industry you was in.
What. That showed you really what was what in the pandemic.
Yeah.
If you didn't have a viable, durable industry or a job, like it was gone.
Yeah. Now a lot of people did become very creative with internet and things of that nature.
That's true.
Beautiful, you know. But for somebody like me, I'm not tech savvy at all. I wasn't gonna be able to gather.
What could you do? But I guarantee this: you were still getting calls during the pandemic.
Oh man, went up and it increased.
Really?
Oh man, I was backed up.
God.
Oh yeah, I was backed up.
Well, really just depending on what industry you was in, man.
No, without a doubt.
Without
a doubt. You know, the thing that I noticed a lot in that time was you know, the more people that were sitting at home, the more they just was paying attention to what was going on in the house.
Yes, they did.
Because sometimes a lot of their lives was moving so fast. You know?
You in and out the house, you ain't really there, so you don't have time. You don't have time.
So I'm saying people want to tear their whole bathroom apart. I'm tired of looking at this. I want something different.
That's crazy. Something you wouldn't expect. Something you wouldn't expect. That's based on them having more time at home.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. You know, and that was just the icing on the cake. The other things was just like, you know essential stuff. Water heater going out.
Water heater.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a water heater. You want to wash this germ off you. You can't do it without
non-negotiable
stuff. Very non-negotiable. Very non-negotiable.
Especially when it comes to that plumbing, man.
Absolutely.
You can't that water. You can't play with that, man.
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, and I'm sure it was the same thing for electrical and other entities as well. Because, like I said, you know, a lot of times people sitting around and just realizing, hey, you know what? And they was floating a lot of money around at that time too.
Oh man, throwing it around, man. Cats still getting prosecuted. They was throwing it around, man. Like just writing the checks, bro.
Absolutely.
Hey, running it up. Running it up.
Yeah,
man.
that's right.
Running it up. Yeah, definitely, man.
Yep. So man, it was great. You know, like I said, you know, I mean, the pandemic was horrible, of course, but you know, it caused me some issues, health wise and things of that nature. Yeah, that was like the bittersweet of it, because you know, and let me say this, because I feel like just because I experienced what I've experienced, I don't look at it like the most horrible thing, even though it was a horrible situation. I believe that it happened for the reasoning that I'm here today. And that's because God wanted me to be able to bring out a message that he's probably been storing in me for a long time, that I have always held back on, or always, you know, sometimes we know some things that we know that, you know, we have certain things like a gospel, so to speak. And we're reluctant, you know what I'm saying?
We hold it back.
We hold it back for all type of different reasons, whether it's personal, your mind, whatever the situation is. But, you know, once I started, you know, getting clarity on who and what I was as a person, then it started opening me up to like
clicking, really,
man, and it made me feel like, because, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, you know, a part of my therapy growth is, you know, I was very I won't call it antisocial. I had like social anxiety.
So
like,
really?
So a lot of people really didn't know, but you know, and the only reason why I found out myself was because I went through the therapy. So I was able to, those were some of the things I understood about myself. Like, wow, man, that's why I don't.
Self-discovery.
You know, so, you know, once I, you know, started getting a little bit more comfortable with myself and who I was, it just made it a little easier for me to start to be more open and receptive to just doing different things. And it worked out, you know, pretty good as far as my recovery process and healing process took place. But
that's good, man.
Yeah, so like I said, moving forward, man, I'm gonna be a beast.
Yeah, as they say, 2023 beast mode all day,
You know
all
what I'm
day.
saying?
Oh, that's good, man.
That's what it
good,
is
man.
now, you know.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
So, but man, this is the premiere episode, man. We definitely gonna be back for another episode. We wrapping up. Any closing statements, man? Anything you want to leave us with, man?
You know, I'm just gonna say that, you know, at this day and time, you know, where we at, you know, in 2023, you know, we have a lot of slogans out there, you know, doing me in 23, doing more in 24, whatever you want to do, you know. But I just think that we have to learn how to live our lives one day at a time.
Yes, literally,
you know,
literally.
One situation at a time. And strive very hard, man, not to let life stress you out.
Right. It's a long run, man.
It's a very long run.
It's a long run.
It's a long
right,
journey.
Man. Yeah.
You know, learn how to be happy.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's truly an art, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get some help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, please do that.
Get some help.
Do that. I mean, if you don't do nothing else, do that. You owe yourself that. You know, your life deserves everything that is intended for it to be. And, you know, no one's holding you back but you.
Right. That's true. That's true. Some of our biggest things is ourselves, man. So the Righteously Turned Up podcast, episode 1 with my man Dave Ware, myself, David Foster. We will be back to give y'all some more information, some more nuggets. Hopefully y'all can, you know, take some of this and apply it to your situation. And we still growing, building, and learning, man. So we out, Righteously Turned Up podcast. Appreciate you, my brother.
Man, I appreciate you as well,
All right,
brother.
absolutely. We out.
All right, peace.